This is one of those stories from my childhood that still just gives me the chills thinking back to it even today. It was October and my family was on vacation to some family resort in Catskill, New York. It was kind of in the middle of nowhere, but there were a decent amount of other families at the resort. There were a lot of kids. I remember the resort being surrounded by forest in all directions, but the actual resort grounds were fairly large. I was 8 years old. I was an awkward, shy kid for most of my childhood. I would follow the lead of my older brothers, usually whenever in social settings. I'm the third child of 4. I have 3 brothers. During this vacation my older brothers, Eric and Josh, were mostly hanging out amongst themselves since they're closer in age than I am with them. My little brother Craig was only 4, so he was constantly with my parents when we weren't all together doing resort activities. Everyone, for the most part, split up. My dad gave all of us money to play games at the arcade inside the activity hall building. My parents assumed I was with my older brothers at one point, but I was actually alone, just exploring the resort grounds. I walked around the big cement pathway that looped around the entire resort. I passed by some families playing bocce, ball, croquet, and other sports. I was partially looking for my brothers or just anything I could do by myself. I started exploring the inside of the activity hall building and I found the arcade my dad was telling us about. It was actually a pretty impressively sized arcade. It had a bunch of pinball machines and all the standard classic arcade machines at the time. Most of the games were just a quarter to play, so I looked around the room for a game I wanted to play, and I noticed in one corner of the room the store with this really fogged up looking square glass window in the middle. It was like a special kind of glass that was hard to see through. I thought I could see something through the glass, so I walked a little closer to the door to look through it better, and I saw this humanoid figure standing there staring through the window. I looked at it for like 15 seconds and it wouldn't move. I could barely see the face of it through the weird glass, but it kind of looked like a Halloween prop. It was Halloween season after all, and so that's what I assumed it was, a decoration meant to scare the kids. I walked away to find a game and ended up playing the Simpsons arcade game. The arcade machine was in the line of sight of that door though, and I couldn't help but keep looking over to it every few seconds, still seeing that blurred image of the figure on the other side of the door. If it was a decoration, it was doing its job and creeping me out. After I lost the game, I just had to go back over to the door and look through the glass again, this time putting my face basically right up to the glass. I saw the blurred face of the figure standing there. It was a man for sure. The neutral expression on the face suddenly changed to a smile, and I gasped in horror. It was a real person. I ran halfway out of the arcade, then stopped and turned around. The blurred figure on the other side of the door was gone. I slowly walked back to the door and opened it. It was brought into this dark hallway. It just had this liminal, unexplainable feeling inside of it, and I was creeped out. I didn't see anyone in there, but it got so dark. Mere feet away from the door, but for all I knew there could have been someone hiding further down the hall. I went back through the arcade to where I came in from and went straight back to our room and stayed there till my parents returned. I told them about it, and I'm sure they found it odd. That night when we all had dinner together in the dining hall, something disturbing happened. I noticed a man sitting alone at one of the nearby tables. He was facing me and looking at me. He had a me. Before he did, I tried my best to look away and pretend not to notice. That was the last time I saw that man on our trip. I look back on it and feel like he was most likely a predator. The way he just stood there still as a statue watching me for so long, and then that creepy smile. If I'm right, I hope no children ever fell victim to him. Me before he did. I tried my best to look away and pretend not to notice. That was the last time I saw that man on our trip. I look back on it and feel like he was most likely a predator, the way he just stood there still as a statue watching me for so long, and then that creepy smile. If I'm right, I hope no children ever fell victim to him.